I didn't plan to test them. It was supposed to be simple. A text, a date, a ride home after surgery. Nothing dramatic, nothing emotional, just a quiet need. My surgery's on the 15th, just need someone to drive me home. Sent to the family group chat at 7:04 p.m. The message sat there for a minute, then the typing bubbles appeared. First came my sister. LOL, you actually thought we'd miss CABO for that? Then my mother. Don't guilt us, this trip's been planned for months. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. My mistake. That was it. 2 words. Calm, final. But what they didn't understand was, those words weren't surrender, they were a test, and they failed it spectacularly. You'd think family means something, that blood buys loyalty, or at least decency. But in mine, loyalty was transactional. My sister, Nicole, was the golden child. Loud, glossy, always on. My mother followed her lead, orbiting her like a satellite desperate for warmth. I was the quiet one, the afterthought, the one who made things awkward by needing help or being inconvenient. Still, I never stopped trying. Birthdays, holidays, I'd show up bearing gifts and good intentions, and every time I'd leave feeling smaller. The surgery, a minor one really, outpatient, nothing life-threatening. But I knew the test wasn't about logistics, it was about care. Who would show up when I actually needed them? Apparently, no one. The morning after their replies, I checked the group chat again. They'd moved on. Memes, packing lists, outfits for CABO. Like my surgery message had evaporated. That silence did something to me. It was surgical in its precision, slicing away the last thread of illusion that they'd ever see me. So I started planning. It began quietly, with paperwork. See, Mom had made me executor of her estate 2 years ago, back when she had her mini stroke scare. She trusted me because I was responsible. I managed her bills, her investments, even her travel insurance. Nicole didn't care for those details. She just liked that Mom could fund her lifestyle. A little loan here, a little emergency there. While they were busy tanning and taking pictures in CABO, I was busy transferring Mom's travel policy under review. A few clerical adjustments to her coverage dates, a flagged discrepancy. Nothing illegal, just administrative enough to delay their claims if something went wrong. But I didn't want harm. I wanted realization. I wanted them to feel the weight of absence. Mine. The day of my surgery, I checked in at the hospital, alone, as expected. But here's what they didn't know. It wasn't a surgery. It was a leave of absence. I'd arranged a transfer, a 6-month research fellowship overseas. It came with housing, travel, and privacy. Before I left, I made one last move. I gave the hospital my mother's number as my emergency contact, and I instructed them to call her once I was in recovery. At exactly 10:37 a.m., while she was lounging at a resort bar in CABO, the nurse called. "Mrs. Daniels, we're just calling to let you know your daughter is out of surgery. Everything went well, though she'll need rest and observation." The line went silent for several seconds, the nurse told me later. Then my mother panicked, called me 15 times. When I didn't answer, she called the hospital again, desperate. The nurse simply said, "She asked us not to disturb her. She said she's finally taking time for herself." 2 hours later, Nicole posted a story, a champagne glass by the ocean, captioned, "Family is everything." The irony almost made me laugh. They came home to a new reality. The house key I'd returned by mail. The finances restructured. Every unnecessary subscription, every luxury expense paused for review. And my message waiting in Mom's inbox, "You taught me not to expect anyone to show up for me. I'm finally taking that advice to heart." When she finally reached me weeks later, her voice was small. She cried, apologized, said she didn't realize how much I'd needed them. But here's the thing about apologies. They sound different when you've already healed. I'm okay, I told her. I just learned not to confuse obligation with love. She asked when I'd come home. I didn't answer. Sometimes revenge isn't destruction, it's subtraction. You remove yourself from the equation. You stop feeding the version of you they're comfortable ignoring. You let them sit in the echo of their own absence. Mom still messages sometimes. Nicole too. They sound careful now, polite, restrained, like I'm a stranger they want back. But that version of me, the one waiting for a ride home, doesn't exist anymore. Because when they said, "Don't guilt us," they mistook guilt for love. And when I said, "My mistake," I meant it.